Today we are thrilled to have our hosts Lindsay Cohen, Tana Finley, and Shanda Burns from the RhPAP Strategies and Stakeholders and Community Development teams to hear more about RhPAP supports for high school and post-secondary students. So without further delay, I'll turn it over to them.
Thanks everybody for coming today. I'm just going to start sharing my screen here and start this presentation off. Yes, welcome. We are happy to have you. We'll start off by just going through our introductions again. So yes, I'm Shanda Burns. I am the Senior Manager of Community Development and Engagement here at RhPAP. We have Lindsay Cowan and we have Tana Finley on the line. We have an array of information to share with you today that touches on high school student supports and programming, post-secondary student supports and programming, and all sorts of things in between. So without further ado, we'll get started. So what's the purpose of RhPAP student programming? The purpose of RhPAP student programming is to provide students with comprehensive support and engaging programs that offer exposure to healthcare careers with a special focus on rural practice. We are dedicated to equipping students with the knowledge, skills, and experiences necessary to consider and pursue healthcare careers in rural areas. Through mentorship, rural exposure, relationship building, and educational opportunities, we aim to inspire students to explore the rewards and opportunities of what it truly means to live, work, and play in rural Alberta. Our goal is to cultivate a pipeline of future healthcare professionals who are passionate about serving rural populations, addressing healthcare disparities, and making a positive impact on underserved areas. By providing tailored support and valuable experiences, we hope to encourage students to choose rural practice and contribute to the improvement of healthcare access and outcomes in these communities. So how does RhPAP support high school students? There are three main parts to RhPAP's high school programming, with our Let's Go Rural high school events, How Do I Get There virtual sessions, and partnership events with our external stakeholders. First up is our Let's Go Rural high school events. So these events are one-day learning opportunities where high school students discover what healthcare is all about. Held during school hours, students experience a wide variety of interactive and informative sessions. The event is held at the local healthcare facility, school, or other community gathering place like a community hall. These events are intended to make students aware of the healthcare opportunities available in their community and to encourage them to consider these careers after graduation. They can take the form of skills days, where students participate in health-related skill stations such as IV starts, suturing, airway management, EMS, etc., and have the opportunity to discuss with the practitioners running those stations on what it is like to practice and to be a healthcare professional in rural Alberta, administering these skills. These events can also be in-person panel discussions, roundtables, or a human library approach that focuses on engaging students in informal discussions where there is a Q&A that is very naturally occurring. An expression of interest is open once per year, giving communities the opportunity to apply to be a host community for an upcoming event. It is currently open and accepting applications until March 15th. We do have a video to share with you that highlights some of the aspects of these events.
Let's Go Rural High School events are designed to introduce high school students to healthcare career opportunities in their own rural community.
It's a one-day program taking place during school hours at the local health center, school, or other community space.
Typically, 30 to 40 students from several schools attend. Local health professionals host hands-on skill stations varying from suturing, IV starts, injections, airway management, EMS, and more. RhPAP supplies most of the supplies for the stations. The site manager of the local health center helps recruit health professionals to instruct. Students will also be provided lunch and snacks during the event. During lunch, a local health provider shares their personal story of what led them to practice in rural Alberta and how much they enjoy it.
Let's Go Rural high school events impact students in a big way.
My interest in healthcare has gotten way stronger in one day.
These events are extremely popular. If your community or school is interested in hosting a Let's Go Rural high school event in 2024, submit an expression of interest on our website by March 15th.
So that's our Let's Go Rural in-person events. And next up is our high school programming for How Do I Get There virtual sessions. So RhPAP supports the growth of Alberta's future healthcare workforce by hosting virtual How Do I Get There sessions, where rural Alberta high school students can connect with current healthcare professionals to learn about their roles and the pathways into these careers. Sessions are hosted in the form of panel discussions or Q&As and give students the opportunity to ask questions to those individuals about what it truly means to live, work, and play in rural Alberta. There are often post-secondary institutions in attendance that speaks to admission requirements, how students are supported throughout their academic journey, as well as healthcare professionals who practice in rural Alberta, and to share what their journey was like and why they initially chose to practice in rural and what makes them stay. We host a minimum of 4 sessions throughout the year, and these sessions can be found on our socials and Eventbrite for registration, and we do send them directly to rural schools. We also have previous recordings of sessions that can be found on RhPAP's YouTube channel for reference and education. Last but not least, RhPAP regularly partners with key stakeholders such as high schools across the province, Careers Next Generation, Alberta Health Services, Covenant Health, and post-secondary institutions on their high school student engagement events to promote healthcare careers by the way of career fairs, resource sharing, and info sessions. Some partnership events that RhPAP has been involved in include the Indigenous Learning Circle in Fort McMurray, Career Expo in Fort Chipewyan, and various interactive career fairs throughout the province. While these events are not included in the expression of interest, if you are interested in RhPAP partnering with you on an event, you can send your inquiry to the email that will be found at the end of this presentation. Now that we've discussed our high school student programming, next up is our post-secondary student programming. There are many different facets to RhPAP's supports for post-secondary students, as you can see. I will start us off to discuss our Let's Go Rural post-secondary events. So our Let's Go Rural post-secondary events provide an opportunity for medical, nursing, allied health, and other healthcare related learners to explore what it means to live and work in rural Alberta. A Let's Go Rural post-secondary event are 1 or 2 day weekend experiences that are hosted in selected rural communities. These experiences provide an opportunity for post-secondary students from multiple disciplines to learn what it means to work with a rural-based healthcare team. Social events and activities organized by the community also expose students to the lifestyle and recreation opportunities available in that region. The goal of these events is to get students out in rural and experience why it is a great place to be and pique their interest in future rural practice or clinical opportunities. This year alone, RhPAP has hosted 3 events with 1 final event scheduled for March in Drumheller. The expression of interest that I touched on previously also encompasses our post-secondary weekend events and is currently accepting applications for the next year from interested communities. The video on the next slide provides a good overview of what the post-secondary events entail.
Let's Go Rural post-secondary events introduce post-secondary healthcare students to life in rural Alberta.
These engaging weekends give students a taste of the rural lifestyle. Activities showcase the many amenities your community has to offer.
Maybe that's a summer festival in the center of town, a visit to a historic site, a trip to a farm, skeet shooting.
It's a weekend packed with fun. A big highlight of these weekends is a tour of the local health center.
Here they'll chat with local health professionals about why they love practicing in rural Alberta. They also discover the many different healthcare job opportunities that exist in rural Alberta.
Saturday night, it's time to celebrate with a community dinner in the students' honor. What a golden opportunity to showcase your community. Local professionals share heartfelt stories about what drew them to your rural community and why they love it here.
Most students have an amazing experience. They head home impressed by how welcoming rural communities are.
Definitely think I could see myself going rural.
Let's Go Rural post-secondary events are very popular, with spots filling up quickly.
If your community is interested in hosting a Let's Go Rural post-secondary event in 2024, submit an expression of interest on our website by March 15th.
Okay, so that's my part of this presentation. I'm going to hand it over to Tana.
Thank you, Shanda. So The Let's Go Rural events are more of a taste of rural practice and a taste of what it might feel like to live in rural Alberta. The accommodations program is very much focused on longer term commitments in rural Alberta. So we house learners on rural rotations. Those rotations can be anywhere from 2 weeks to a year. And it very much provides them an opportunity to get a sense of what actually living there would look like. And as I think anyone would agree with, where you're living during those opportunities can make or break what that experience ends up feeling like and whether somebody is going to want to come back. This program is one of the only rural housing programs in Canada that houses medical students, resident physicians, and other healthcare students, rather than asking them to find their own accommodations and then reimbursing them for that. And that means the learners themselves, when they're going on a rural rotation, don't need to worry about tracking down an appropriate place to stay in a community they might never have been to and might not have any contacts in. So our housing team takes that stress off their shoulders and does all the groundwork. And it's usually for about 700 learners every year, and that number is growing. So where possible, RhPAP housing is furnished with as many of the comforts of home as that team can manage. And all of the little details like making sure the place is clean ahead of time and making sure the internet is up and running are all arranged in advance. The team also helps ensure that the learners are connected with local contacts and aware of the resources and opportunities that are available in that community so they can take the best advantage of what the community has to offer. Currently, we have over 130 leased accommodations in 41 rural Alberta communities. And these communities are determined in partnership with educational institutions and are very dependent on where the rural preceptors and teachers are. So these awards are targeted to medical students who are aiming towards rural practice. Preference is given to students who demonstrate strong rural ties and community involvement. Last year, we offered 4 awards, and you can see the pictures of last year's recipients. This year and moving forward, we're offering 6 of these awards, 3 at each university. The application deadline was earlier this month, so we'll be announcing this year's recipients later on this spring. And as is usually the case, we profile each recipient, where they're from and why they're interested in rural medicine. Mentorship is another opportunity that RhPAP provides to get medical students exploring rural possibilities in rural practice. As part of this program, students spend 6 hours with a rural physician in the emergency department of their rural hospital while that physician is performing a rural emergency shift. So these experiences are often great chances to expose students to the incredible variety that rural medicine offers. And the purpose is very much to allow them to see themselves in rural practice early in medical school, because they do have to start making decisions about the direction of their training in their second year. And unsurprisingly, what they don't see, they won't consider. So these shifts are in high demand because they're also often the first experience students have to spend an extended amount of time one-on-one with a rural physician. And on the other side of that equation, the preceptors have an opportunity to champion rural medicine and to champion their community to potential future colleagues. I had a student just the other month who, after a rural shift, told me that they loved their time in the community so much that even though it hadn't been part of the plan, they were seriously considering family medicine and emergency medicine in that community. And that's why we do it. I also can't understate the role of preceptors in influencing students to consider rural career paths. A lot of our programs support learners on these rural experiences, but those experiences aren't possible or effective without those preceptors. So we offer a number of bursaries to support healthcare learners to attend specifically rural-focused courses and conferences. And as a recent example, we covered the cost of hotel stays for medical students who are in rural streams to attend emergency medicine for rural hospitals in Banff this January. And now I will hand it over to Lindsay.
Perfect. Thank you, Tana. One of the other bursaries that RhPAP is happy to offer is the bursary for internationally educated nurses. This program was new last year, so we are currently in our second cycle. The bursary provides funding to internationally educated nurses, or IENs, as they complete the bridging training that's required in order to practice as an LPN or RN here in rural Alberta. And for receiving the bursary, they do commit to a period of time to work in rural Alberta. Applicants for the program must live here in Alberta, and they must be enrolled in full-time studies in one of the approved bridging programs. And that program has to have started January 1st of 2023 or later. This year in cycle 2, we have 4 approved bridging programs as a part of BN. We have Mount Royal University, Bow Valley College, Norquest College, and MacEwan University. There are a variety of breakdowns for the bursary, but students are able to receive up to $30,000, and that is dependent on which program they're in and the length of their studies. This is intended to help cover a portion of their tuition cost, as well as living expenses and standard fees for going to school. And they then commit to 1 year of rural practice for every $6,000 they have received. Further information is on our website, but as mentioned, cycle 2 is open right now. So bridging students can apply, and those applications will close either June 30th or once all funding has been allocated, whichever comes first. And next up, one program that RhPAP is actively doing and seeking opportunities for is collaboration with rural student groups across the province. So right now we are collaborating with rural medicine interest groups, also known as RMIGs, at both the University of Alberta and the University of Calgary. RMIGs are student-run groups that really promote awareness of rural careers in healthcare. So they typically inform students about upcoming events, scholarships, workshops, and other opportunities related to rural medicine. Collaborations that RhPAP is a part of can include presentations to medical students to make them aware of all the programs and all the things we offer during their studies, as well as ongoing supports that would be available to them if they do choose to practice in rural Alberta. So there are student co-chairs of these RMIG groups, and they often help us share information out to medical learners about RhPAP award applications, bursary opportunities like the ones Tana had mentioned, as well as invitations to our Let's Go Rural post-secondary events. And of course, we're always looking for new opportunities to grow this aspect of our work. So RhPAP is seeking out additional relationships with post-secondaries across the province, and that includes programs related to all allied health professions.
We also participate in and support numerous projects and events with the same goal in mind, so encouraging students to consider rural healthcare careers. And I just have a few examples, and this is by no means an exhaustive list, but we've partnered to provide housing for a clinic organized by students to offer dental care in Métis communities in the north during their student break. We've partnered to enhance the community and social integration of social work students when they're on rural practicums. And then we're very, very frequently participating in partner career fairs, information sessions, student retreats, and conferences, all to encourage awareness of the resources that are available to students on the pathway to and once they're in rural practice.
Thank you. So that is the end of our presentation. We are going to open the floor for any questions, and we will be happy to answer them. If you have any questions following this session, you can certainly email the info@rhpap.ca. We're going to put that in the chat. And please do join any of our socials. That would be fantastic. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can answer questions as well.
So Shanda, it looks like there is a question as people come on in the chat from Wanda. It asks, can you apply for both high school and post-secondary events?
Yes, so you can apply for both high school and post-secondary events. However, only one will be chosen for that community. So generally we'll ask what your preference is. And if you are successful, we will try to make that work. And if, we have enough high school events, or if there's a wait list, we'll see if there is still capacity to do a post-secondary event. Also, preference is given to communities that have not hosted an event in the last 3 years. But it is not to say that you will not be able to host. It really truly depends on the interest and the applications that are received.
Myrna Langto from Donley. I just more or less have a comment. Hi. I just want to say we took part in the university students Let's Go Rural last fall, and we were very grateful we did it. It drew a lot of attention, not only to our taxpayers and ratepayers around the work that the physician recruitment committee does. It also drew the fact that we're thinking outside the box and bringing in people from outside the area. And I think it was very well received. And so I would encourage you, if you're sitting on the fence, not knowing if you should do it, to just do it, because it really, truly does bring great value to our areas.
Thank you, Myrna. Yes, I was lucky enough to attend that on behalf of RhPAP, and it was an amazing experience and really gave those students a good taste of what it means to live, work, and play in the Smoky River region. So amazing work, and they had a blast and lots of discussions afterwards.
Dan Gilmore here from St. Francis of Assisi in Slave. Just a quick question for us, being a small, we definitely qualify as a small rural school. Obviously, potential partner with our public board as well as in Slave Lake. Is there a way to integrate that as well with like Northern Lakes College, where we have them right in the community as well, and maybe getting to do a combined type of thing?
Yeah, definitely. So we do encourage partnership and collaboration with those individuals and those organizations that all are working towards healthcare related careers and getting students involved. We have seen high success when when each is talking to one another and they are included in the events. So when you put in an expression of interest, if you list out who your partners are, or a rural community consultant can also assist you in identifying who those partners are and tying you in, definitely makes a strong application. And we do not exclude that. We definitely encourage it.
Well, thank you so much, Lindsay, Tana, and Shanda, for presenting today. It's great to hear about our RhPAP student supports, and I'm sure the audience here today appreciated it.